We consider, evaluate, and postulate everything. Welcome to Capacity Cast with your hosts Michael and Scott. Let's get started.
We're talking about the Apple Keynote announcements this week. Pretty exciting stuff, because I know you have a lot of
Apple enthusiast, which is not me.
I was going to say, yeah, I know you have a lot of Apple products.
Yeah, I've actually never owned an Apple product.
Oh, really?
Yeah, never. I've touched them occasionally.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
A poke here and there, or a key press.
Going to the Apple store and just graze the tops of the monitors.
I could try that sometime and see if it converts me.
It feels, you can try that and then try the Microsoft store and see which one feels better.
Neither actually.
Yeah. But. These are, obviously it's always a high profile consumer tech event, and they had a few different products this year. Did you catch any of it?
I looked at all of, or at least the majority of the things that they showed. Actually, it was cool that they talked a little bit about Steve Jobs and the new theater or whatever it was that they built and they named after him.
Yes.
So that was interesting.
That was. I thought that was pretty well done as a Steve Jobs fan.
Just as a side note, after doing that, I saw on YouTube the Game Historian channel. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Well, this guy did one on Steve Jobs' earlier years at Atari. That's really funny because he describes him as very poor hygiene and a hippie, and it's really good. So I would suggest checking that out.
I will check that out.
Yeah.
And we'll put a link in the notes too. Mm-hmm. I like the Steve Jobs tribute. I also like the CEO Tim Cook's call for contributions to the hurricane relief as well.
Definitely.
But then I think one of the most, moving parts of it for me was the video that they played before they announced the new Apple Watch. And it was almost all health and emergency focused.
Oh, that's good.
Just talking
nice. That was probably a quick thing that they put together to really show those features.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Well, I don't know how long they've been. I mean, they were, I think, testimonials from customers, so they must have been gathering this stuff for a while. But yeah, assembling it with kind of that emergency focus.
Or they compiled a huge amount of data and this is happening right now. Let's pull that into the presentation.
Yeah.
Which is good,
but
if they have that flexibility.
Yeah, it was just neat to see. I don't know, it's like they think that the watch might contend for being the most helpful product that they've made for people.
Okay, so what are some of the new things about the watch?
Well, the new one has a cellular connection.
That's the big change.
I think it has better Bluetooth and it has some other incremental improvements, but adding the cellular and better heart rate monitoring.
The cell phone or the cellular connection probably uses a decent amount of power, so.
Probably. But it looks like a nice product for minimalists who want to go out and leave their phone at home but still be available.
Yeah, it is appealing to me. I could see someday maybe a few more revisions come out. Having that cell phone connection is great.
Definitely. And maybe not the Apple Watch at its current price, but,
$300 really is not bad in my opinion, or is it $400?
Yeah, it's about $350 or so.
Compared to the phones that are getting towards $1,000.
Right. But I was thinking for, say for children, just to give them some sort of communication device. I don't want to spend that on
I feel like there will be other solutions for kids.
Definitely. It's close to what I want, though. I want some sort of way I can get hold of them and keep them safe, but without them being able to just
drop it or lose it.
Yeah. Or mess around with it too much.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so that was major product number one.
Mm-hmm.
Major product number two, I guess, was the 4K Apple TV.
Oh yeah, I did see a little bit about that. It's significantly more powerful performance-wise. I don't know what that means, but
probably just playing video better without stuttering, and gaming without.
It does gaming?
It does, yeah.
So just apps?
Yeah, it's pretty similar to mobile apps,
okay.
Racing games and things like that.
Nice.
I'm never really clear on the market size for this, but
it can't be too big because I don't hear that much about it.
Right. I know that it's the fourth best-selling kind of TV device.
There's the Roku and the other things.
Yeah, well,
they're just cheap, so I could see why people would prefer that.
Definitely, yeah. It's hard to beat, a $30 Chromecast or $30 Fire Stick versus a $150 Apple TV. But it seems like they're doing a good job making it a pretty good value if you want all these, extra features and a really nice Apple experience. Mm-hmm. And then in tandem with that, they are working on an initiative to sell 4K movies for less than they currently get sold. So
that's good.
They're trying to hold them to around the $20 price
Apple
point.
did innovate in a way with music as the pricing and such. I remember them either dropping the price, something happened or was it the MP3s that they started carrying?
Yeah, they broke the album. So instead of having a $15 or $18 album, now it's $1 per track. And it has 13 tracks.
Yeah.
It's $13. Or if people are interested in just 2 of the tracks, they're going to pay $2 now.
I still have a set of music on iTunes back when it was the thing. And like Blue, do you remember them?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, the Blue song. Move, which is a Japanese group, and a few other ones.
Yeah, I think I still have some purchases somewhere.
Yeah.
I still have some music on iTunes.
So I've listened to those recently as I installed iTunes to make sure it was on the podcast. And I was like, oh, I've gotten all this cool music from the mid-2000s.
It's back.
Yeah.
And so, I hope that, they don't have the market power that iTunes had, but I hope that they can use having the most high-quality TV device to maybe break the $30 DVD.
I feel like if they keep pushing at it, and like you mentioned, they have games, maybe just down the line, they'll eventually take over gaming. That might go away, the console gaming, in a way, but then you'll have Apple, the device that does, it changes and upgrades, but the apps stay the same. Or you can run this app potentially on 3 versions down the line, which consoles are starting to do that a little bit, but we'll see.
I totally agree. They're not willing to put an iPhone's power in that because they'd have to charge a ton of money. But so that means in a couple of years they'll be able to game as well as an iPhone, which is really well.
Yeah.
We'll see. So then the third thing was obviously the iPhones.
Phones.
Yeah.
You got the 8. Is it version 8?
Yeah, I've got the 8.
So that's basically an upgrade to their current ones.
They didn't do the 7S, which they usually do like 6S, which is 6 in the same form factor but upgraded internals. This time they went from 7 straight to 8. I think the reason is that it has a glass back and it can do wireless charging now.
Yeah.
So even though it looks similar, they consider that to be a form factor change.
Okay.
And it also upgraded the processor and photography, and it has one feature I'm looking forward to seeing, which is called True Tone. So it matches the lighting that is around you when it's on the screen, so everything looks like the right color. So if you're in a room with really warm light, it's going to move the screen warmer, so it won't seem really blue. And if you're outdoors, it'll move it more towards the blue spectrum, which that's an interesting feature.
Yeah, Apple does a quality job on the camera aspect of their phones.
They really make people better photographers, and I also like seeing how they push people who take photography more seriously. Dedicated cameras are better than ever. People are taking just amazing photos with them. So they just make all photos all around the world a little bit
more
better.
Is better.
Definitely.
I don't understand the negativity against cell phone cameras. We've got the iPhone X. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Or iPhone 10?
Yeah, which is...
Whichever one you want to...
It's such a funny number because what are they going to do 2 years from now when they have the 8, and then it's going to become like the 10 and then the extra 10? Like I don't know what they're going to do at that point.
They might change the naming scheme.
I hope so. That's pretty interesting. So the 8, you have the 8 and the 8 Plus, and the 8 Plus is the 8 with the bigger screen. The 10 is a little bit bigger than the 8, but it has an edge-to-edge screen, which makes it about the same screen size as the 8 Plus. It sort of gives you the best of both.
Oh, so it's actually in the middle size-wise.
Yeah.
Physically.
It's probably not any harder to hold than the normal phone.
Okay. I looked at that one, and it's pretty interesting how the top of the screen has a cutout, basically, where they have all those sensors, and then on the sides, you still have screen, which is where they stick power and connectivity icons and things like that.
Yeah, which, I looked at that, and my first thought was there's not room for the Bluetooth icon, so I don't know what they're going to do when people add more icons up there. But
I don't know.
It's
maybe they shrink the size, who knows?
Yeah, maybe. It's an interesting aesthetic. Not totally sure what to make of it, but I am really impressed by the sensors that are in that black bar. So, you've got the camera, you have what's called a flood, which is to let them basically see infrared in a dark room. And then you have I'm not sure the word for it, but basically it does 30,000 dots to do 3D mapping of the air around it.
So it's like a Kinect?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like the world's smallest Kinect, or something like that. Supposedly they have very accurate face identification now that you can use to unlock your phone. And I am hoping, I know it's going to matter for their augmented reality stuff. That's going to be much better than trying to use a camera and to figure out what's 3D. And I'm hoping in the future that developers are going to find ways to use those sensors to do really interesting things.
Yeah, I made a little joke on my personal Facebook page to my friends that that feature where it's in chat where they have animal faces. There's a few other ones.
Oh yeah.
and it basically copies what they're doing facially. I said, this is the first phone ever marketed towards furries, and Apple's the one to do it. So they can have their persona without having to wear the suit to their friends now.
Oh, that's
perfect.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's a little stealth marketing.
Yeah.
So
they,
the word
Apple, good job on appealing to the furries.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Well, maybe I will get addicted to the Animoji. I think that's what they're calling it.
Yeah. So it's animated emojis, and then there's a poop one, and there's a robot. Everything else, I think, are animals.
I think I'll probably start with the poop one, but then I might get into the furry culture through the Animoji.
Yeah, it's always possible.
Yeah. So it was a pretty compelling product. One big downside though is the price, $1,000 and then $1,100.
There's a lot to it.
I'm very curious to see how well it sells. It will go on sale next month. I think it will be the right phone for certain people. And so
if you want the best of Apple, you probably want to spend, I don't know how much more is it than the 8?
It's a couple hundred more.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe so 150 more.
That's really not a big jump then.
No, it just feels significant. I know I've read some comments online where people say, hey, in Europe they've already been over 1,000 already, things like that. But it feels like a milestone. But my understanding is that Google's event in a couple of weeks to announce the Pixel 2 will probably also have a $1,000 phone.
Okay.
So maybe it's just what we're going to have now.
Yeah. As a side note, I have not really spent over $100 on any recent phone, and it's relatively decent in my opinion, the one that I have.
I try to keep it down as well.
Yeah.
We'll see. As far as, I guess recommendations, I think if most people ask me what to buy, I would probably point them to the 8. But, some people are going to want that big screen and some people are going to want that $1,000 screen.
And it's an OLED, right?
Yes.
So it has the organic LEDs, which means black is literally black because it turns off that pixel.
That's true. The contrast is nearly infinite. So in conclusion, if you want, you now have about $1,800 of Apple stuff you can buy that you couldn't buy before.
Yeah, not a bad job, I think, with their new technologies.
Oh, it's actually $1,900 because they also announced a wireless charging pad.
Yeah, I saw that one, and you can charge your phone, your watch. What was the other thing?
The AirPods.
Oh, yeah, a
new case for those that wirelessly charges. Just as another side note, they had a list of brands in the presentation that talked about all the places you can do wireless charging right now. I don't think I've ever seen one of those in public. Have you?
I don't try to notice them, so
I figured they must put a sign out just to brag about it. Like, we have wireless charging. But I've never seen it.
Really, the only charging thing I saw recently was at a hospital, and it was just cords. So I don't think that was an Apple one.
It's for the doctors, and I thought we might as well make it for the patients too.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see how much all these things proliferate next year once people have had a chance to buy them.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing a few YouTube videos about once people get them.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Capacity Cast. You can hear more episodes at capacitycast.com.